This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 here on Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158, wherever you're watching, listening, hanging out with us. We appreciate it. iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Bonantoni. Lots more to come this hour of the program. Our Money Moves College Football Top 25 reveal will continue in the next segment. We are cracking into the top 10 today. Also in 30 minutes, Tom Byrne of Mad Dog Sports Radio is going to stop by, Philly native, going to help us break down more of the LeBron move. Why are you laughing?
It's just such a crazy, it's a bit of news. It's
What
good.
a day.
We get something. I like breaking news. It's fun for the most part. I've been on the air for some bad breaking news, but it is interesting to react to stuff like this, and it's obviously a big story. We're seeing the tail end of the career of LeBron James in 2 years, because he signed a 2-year deal. He will not be playing basketball anymore. That is pretty wild to
Absolutely, yeah. And could he, in those 2 years, bring a championship to a place that hasn't seen one since 1983?
And a place that has not been happy since its inception. And I don't know, when was the city built?
No, they've been happy. They've been happy. They had a Super Bowl.
1600s, 17? When was Philly built? When was Philly established?
Also, at the end of the hour, we'll talk a little WNBA All-Star, the three-point contest coming up today, and there is a play I think could be worth looking at. But
really?
Yeah.
You're not doing this thing where you're putting that evil on me, Ricky Bobby, and then you're just going to toss up of, hey, you take care of it. You've got something.
I mean, I believe you do, but I have something too.
Okay, all right. Look at that. Look at that smile that says, no, I don't.
We're going to kick off this hour, however, in the National Football League, because we are hitting the road once again today.
Join Stormy and JVT as they go on the Money Moves NFL training camp tour.
All right, today's stop on the NFL training camp tour, Tampa Bay. Last year, the Bucs got off to a hot start, JVT. They were 6-2. Baker Mayfield was squarely in the MVP conversation. Then things fall off a cliff. Just 2 wins the rest of the year. Several close games lost in that stretch, 5 by 5 or fewer points, which cost them a spot in the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. The 8-9 record did tie for the division lead, but tiebreakers held them out of it. Carolina ends up winning the NFC South. What do you think, big picture, about the Bucs entering 2026?
That I think they're going to be pretty much on par with what they were last year. Maybe a couple of things go better for you, and you can win 9 games. I don't expect that there's going to be much deviation from where the market expects them to be in that 8.5 win range. I am curious, and I like the way that Adam Burke put this in the NFL Guide, paraphrasing, but of all the failures a season ago, 2 points squarely at Grizzard, I believe, right? Not Grizzard. The offensive coordinator.
I thought it was Grizzard like lizard.
Is it Grizzard like lizard? Either way, we'll go with G. But our boy, the offensive coordinator here, firing him after a season in which injuries did demolish your skill positions. So, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, and putting all of the onus on him, I think is pretty interesting considering what the limitations were for this team because of their health or lack thereof. So I think you probably could have run it back, especially for the sake of continuity. I mean, Baker Mayfield has gone through a ton of offensive coordinators in his time as a pro, and especially in Tampa Bay, largely because of positives, right? Canales was there, but then he got hired, and then it was, who's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Thank you, Liam Cohen. His name escaped me for a brief second, but you've seen so much tumult at that position that one would assume that maybe you want to give him some sort of consistency. But either way, I would assume that you're going to have some of the same principles here so you can have some sort of semblance of what you had the season ago from a play calling standpoint. Be interesting to see how that works for him, though, because you've definitely seen a slight dip in the production since the days of Canales and onward.
Yeah, the 2024 season, which is what I think you want to see if Baker can get back to 41 touchdowns. The Bucs offense was humming, more than 29 points per game. Last year, that 41 dips to 26, 11 picks. Offense around 22 points per game. They were 21st in yards per game. Really poor in the red zone as well. Honestly, on both sides of the ball. Red zone offense and defense really struggled. But I agree with your point from a coordinator standpoint. I don't think the play calling was unbelievable, but it wasn't even just that 3 of your 4 primary receivers missed good chunks of the season. 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen as well, your starting running back. There were a lot of injuries that derailed this season, and they were still, like I said off the top, 5 games down the stretch that were decided by 5 or fewer points ultimately that they lost. To go back to the receivers, though, for a moment, Baker only had 61 plays with Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and Chris Godwin all on the field at the same time. Yep. On those plays, averaged 6.5 yards per play, which would have led the National Football League. So if he had his complement of weapons, who knows what this could have been. He was dealing with injuries too, the shoulder. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching Quarterback on Netflix, but I have, and you see kind of how he was trying to just like labor through the season. It's several different instances. So hopefully he's healthy and can produce a little bit of a different thing. Mike Evans obviously is gone, but you only got 8 games from him last year and under 400 yards anyway. So I think that you pretty clearly know how to operate without him. But can that group at its core stay healthy and get better, I think?
Yeah, I think the upside of talent is there. So if the upside hits, this is a division-winning team. By the way, I looked it up. Grizzard like Charizard, of course.
It is.
Yeah, it is. So I know all of our audience understands the Charizard reference for sure. But I do think that the upside for the offense is going to be good. And look, Baker Mayfield, I think we should just point out, is a good quarterback. When he is fully healthy and given a decent offense, you're looking at a team that I think has that upside. I also think, I know this is one of your favorite points about the way that Adam wrote them up in the guide too.
So good.
As he put it, how about looking in the mirror, Todd? This Bucs defense really has not been great. As Adam points out, it's his 8th season with the team, 4th as the head coach. They have not really finished any higher than about 15th in some of these key statistics. Last season in defensive efficiency or opponent expected points added per play, they were 18th. Success rate, they weren't much better in that regard either, finishing in the range of about 20th in the National Football League, 23rd to be specific. So that is something that has to improve, and that's his bread and butter. You're supposed to be the defensive-minded coach, and yet it seems every year this offense is having to carry the anchor that is their defense, much like you have to carry this show. So I think that's something that really has to improve, too. And I don't know if there's really many signs that that's actually going to be the case this year.
I don't know. That feels like you're calling me the Todd Bowles of this show, and I don't know if I want to be that. But
no, I'm clear. See, you're too pessimistic. I'm calling myself the Bucs defense.
Well, let's get into some of the numbers, shall we? Gave up 24 points per game last year, 19th in yards per game allowed, dead last inside the 20. Like I said, red zone struggles on both sides of the ball, but defensively awful. Need to be better against the pass, too. Gave up a 97 rating, 24th in the league. Only 5 teams gave up more yards per game, over 7.5 yards per attempt. That's not good. Oh, and by the way, Levante David retires. Yeah. So you have that element of it, too. Do backfill it with Alex Anzalone, which I think is a top-tier guy that you can bring in. Pass rush was okay. Added some sack getters, including in the draft. You bring in Ruben Bain in the first round. So there's some reason for optimism if Bowles can do his part, which is very important in this. From a betting perspective, you look at the win totals. They have the highest of any team in the NFC South at that 8.5. They're the short shot as well, plus 164 to get back to the top of this division. When you go through their schedule, it is the 10th most difficult in the National Football League as well. How do you see things playing out from an odds standpoint for Tampa? Is there a way to buy in on them? I
mean, I don't think so. I think they're relatively well priced outside of maybe the division odds. I don't know if they're that far ahead of the Bucs, the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons. I think as we had talked about, because I like this Falcons team, I think you throw any of them in a hat and pull one out, and I say, here's your division winner. You wouldn't be stunned by any of them to win this thing. And so I do think their status as a favorite, probably warranted, but the degree to which they are favored, I think that you could argue with. And look, this schedule presents some challenges as well at the beginning of the year. I keep pointing it out, but I think Cleveland's going to be more feisty than we give them credit for. We'll know what the Vikings are eventually at some point, but you look at the beginning portion of the schedule, Stormy, going into the game against the Panthers, I don't know if I expect that they're going to be well above 500 Tampa Bay before they hit a road game against Carolina, the reigning defending NFC South champs. So I do think that there is a reality where, again, talking about the win total, 8.5, seems about right. I think they're in the range of an 8 to potentially 9-win team, but I do think 9 wins is everything went right for us and things are hitting well, as opposed to more likely being in that 8 to 7 range. So I'd rather go under minus 125. Under 8.5, I should say, minus 125.
I guess we're a little bit at odds on that. I think I can find 9 wins here easier than I can find 8, but that's just my opinion. For our radio audience, to go back to that schedule, they do open the season in Cincinnati, taking on Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow and the Bengals, one would expect. The Browns, who you said will be more feisty. The Vikings, the Packers. You have a short week on the road in Dallas for Thursday Night Football. Steelers team, we're not sure what they're going to be in Aaron Rodgers' final season in the National Football League before, as you said, you get to Carolina.
One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL?
Bryce Young?
No, Aaron Rodgers with his elite touchdown to interception ratio.
Once upon a time. You know what? Just let me live, okay? You always have to find something.
Him
because
and Justin Fields.
I was not a Justin Fields person.
No, but
I don't know where you're coming from with that.
Because he has the best touchdown interception ratio.
Oh, that was your comp. You're dead to me. But I went through this exercise earlier, and I think especially if they don't do what they did last year in fall apart with important division games at the end of the season, then they'll be in position, I think, for a 9-win season at least. But those games are going to be big. You have to face the Saints twice in the last 4 weeks of the year, and that's a team that a lot of people seem to be really high on in the NFC South. You in particular really like the Falcons as well. And then, of course, you have a game against the Los Angeles Rams, who are your Super Bowl favorites. But those division games in particular are going to be critical at the end of the year. This whole division came down to the last week because of those types of games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Post-bye, I don't see many opportunities. Actually, well, there are for sure no, like, all right, circle it up. You get a win here opportunities for the Bucs.
There's not obvious wins.
And there is,
but there's not, like, a lot of obvious losses either, because there's so much unknowns with a lot of these teams.
Sure. No, I think that's fair. I just say, I'm a little more pessimistic than you are. You're very positive.
I told you this division, throw a dart for me.
I would like to point out, too, pretty good play by Nick Whalen. If you got the NFL guide early, he had Emeka Egbuka over the, 874.5 receiving yards. DraftKings, 924.5 now for Egbuka.
Yeah, 900 last season, 6 touchdowns. I'm excited for this skill position group, though. Tez Johnson had 5 touchdowns last year. Jalen McMillan only got in 4 games. What could he do? You bring in Ted Hurst in the draft. Cade Otton back healthy as well at tight end. Like, there are a lot of pieces if Chris Godwin is healthy to anchor that load of like what this team could potentially be. We referenced the NFL betting guide a number of times. It is out and available right now. So many best bets from all of your favorite hosts and experts across the entire network. You go to vsin.com/subscribe right now and sign up for our full VSiN Pro Access package. You get the guide as a part of it for free. $175 right now when you sign up. Again, that's vsin.com/subscribe, because that, in addition to the guides and our college football betting guide, is just 2 weeks away. Gives you the picks page, the AI prop tools, unlimited articles for all of the write-ups for games and futures. So you got to check it out while you can. On that note, we got to step aside. Speaking of college football, our Money Moves college football preseason top 25 reveal rolls on. 2 more teams from the SEC, 1 crack in the top 10 when we return on VSiN.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is the Money Moves College Football Top 25 Rankings.
All right, it has been an SEC heavy week with media days out there in Tampa. That is officially in the books, but we roll on with our Money Moves College Football preseason top 25. Number 11 and number 10 as we begin our foray into the top 10 today, both coming from the Southeastern Conference. We will start at number 11 with the Ole Miss Rebels. JVT, this is a team that has been on a historic run as a program for the last handful of years under Lane Kiffin. 10-plus games won in 4 of the last 5 years, had 11 wins in the regular season last year. But, of course, end-of-season controversy with Lane moving on to LSU. Pete Golding steps in, guides the ship, leads the Rebels to a CFP semifinal, playoff wins over Tulane and Georgia. They were a play away from the national title game. Can they get there again in 2026? No interim tag for Golding. He is the guy. And this is what he had to say. Oh, wait, just kidding. We're not going to play that today, are we? Yes, we are. This is what he had to say when asked about how things played out a year ago.
I tell a lot of these people that I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. All right. Like I told an Ole Miss group the other day at 21, I said, all right, in 2021, if you said you could look in 2025 and you're about to be 11-1 and go to the playoff, would you take it if your coach was leaving? They're like, hell yeah. I was like, you would. Everybody won from it. It's okay. Keith, like you made a great hire. You did a great job. Every place isn't for everybody. That's coaches, that's players, that's your job, that's everything. And that's okay, you know? And so throughout the process, I'll be the first one to tell you, I told him I was think he was dumb if he was to leave. I wanted him to stay. That was a selfish decision because I love being the DC where I was at, right? But he decided what was better for him and his family, and that's for him to decide. So I have no ill will towards him at all. All right, wish him the best of luck. We play him like every other SEC team, and we're going to both show up and spot the ball and play. So I talk to him on a regular basis, but no ill will at all, right? And really appreciative of how he treated me and my family. And then this created an unbelievable opportunity for me as well on top that I really wasn't looking for, but so appreciative to have.
I think that's the right mentality to have when all is said and done and officially moving on. Some of the delivery on a couple of his quotes, and if you go back like on Twitter or YouTube, if you look for the full Pete Golding press conference from this week, you can listen to all of his comments about Lane and about how last year transpired. But some of his delivery sounds kind of like a comedy routine, kind of, if I were to tell you in 2025. But I'm a Pete Golding fan. Obviously, he delivered to the back end of last year, and he's got a lot of weapons to work with this season.
I mean, he delivered, but he delivered with a team that was largely built by somebody else. And now, this is the real question of, with the ball in your court and you in control of all of the pieces, how this is going to work. I believe it's John David Baker who's going to be calling plays for them on offense. So that's going to be a really big question, how that works for this staff. I know that Trinidad Chambliss, I believe, was asked about some of the things that were retained from the offensive structure from a season ago and kind of had some word salad about it. So I think that's a really big question. The flow of play call is also really important too. How you set up plays, how you're going to do certain things. And so those are some real things that I think you have some questions about what this is. But the important part is, at least for this season, you've got the main pieces. You got Chambliss, you got Lacey back, and you should be able to do enough that you're an effective group to get these things done. You just do wonder, because I think one of the big turnoffs for me, I shouldn't even say turnoff, one of the bigger, I think, issues for Ole Miss is going to be navigating through their schedule for the most part, and I think that's about it. But how are you going to operate offensively in those intricacies of play calling and game management without Lane there is my biggest question. I think it's everybody's question.
So in your write-up in the guide, did you have a firm belief on any specific way to buy in or not buy in on Ole Miss?
I thought it was under on the win total.
Okay.
We have a win total projection of every single one of them, and it's nothing against them, but I think the schedule presents some challenges. I mean, so you have Louisville at a neutral site. Where are they playing Louisville to open the season, if I remember correctly? Ole Miss. Either way, they're playing them early on in the season, the Music City kickoff. I believe that's out there in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
And then after
I didn't even realize that's where that game was, to be honest.
And then after that, you get to play Charlotte. That's fine. But LSU, including conference plays, you have LSU. You've got to make road trips to Texas, Oklahoma. You have Georgia on the schedule. There are some interesting spots here where if you take a step back on offense, then I think there's some questions about your effectiveness in this conference too. So I thought under on a win total was a fair ask, but nothing I felt insanely strong about when you looked at what they are. But some of the burning questions are just going to be that. What does this offense look like from an efficiency standpoint without a master play caller behind the strings like a guy like Kiffin?
I do think, as we discussed earlier this week, because of the difficulty of the schedule, could be a lot of potential for opportunity as well when it comes to the Heisman race for a guy like Chambliss. Should he live up to expectations? Obviously, he goes from D2 Ferris State and a backup at the start of last year to SEC Newcomer of the Year. Unreal stats, throws for nearly 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, adds another 527 and 8 on the ground to just 3 picks. So if he maintains that level of efficiency against this schedule for a full season, who knows? But 13-1 right now for him for Heisman. All right, let's go into the top 10 now, where we have another potential Heisman candidate, depending on how you view the Texas A&M Aggies and Marcel Reed. I loved this quote in particular from Mike Elko coming out of Media Days.
After last year's playoff run, how do you keep this team from becoming satisfied?
I show them our trophy case, and it's empty. And I think they're all very aware of that. And so, I think, listen, we live in a lot of worlds. And so we're obviously happy with the things that we accomplished. We're happy with the direction of our program. But it's also not lost on us that we haven't won the hardware that we're searching for. And so, that gets us into a mindset of growth and getting back to work to go finish this thing a little bit better than we did last year and put ourselves in a better position maybe to compete for some trophies.
I show them our trophy case and it's empty. What a perfect answer from the head coach. To win the SEC, A&M plus 850, where things sit right now. They're a 20-1 shot to win the national championship. I'll say in pregame meetings, right, like what we do with coaches when I'm calling a game for ESPN, they can be a little bit hit and miss. Some coaches are a little bit close to the vest. Some are a little bit more open. He is unbelievable in meetings, like so transparent, tells it like it is, gives you everything you need. I believe everything that he says in terms of the expectations and the accountability that he holds his team to. I love that he's saying, like, we haven't done anything yet. They started the season last year 11-0. We haven't done anything yet. We don't have the hardware.
I mean, he's right, and I think I like this Texas A&M team quite a bit. It's hard not to, with the return of Reed, new offensive structure. So we'll see what that looks like for them. Again, you go back to where you're going to play and who you're going to play. You get the benefit of playing host to Texas. So that's going to help at the end of the year. But overtly daunting road trips outside of Alabama in conference play. You can count Oklahoma there too. But this seems like this is a group that potentially could really do some damage, especially with the beginning portion of their schedule, if they're going to play at that level, especially getting to host a team like Arizona State or host Kentucky. You might have some upside, but maybe a little bit later in the year when they're getting their stuff together. Same thing with having to go on the road against LSU. My questions, I think, are all about this defense for the most part is really consistent. If you dig under the hood a little bit, I was kind of surprised to find that on the ground they did have a penchant for giving up some explosive runs. So can you whittle those down? Can you be a little bit more self-contained when it comes to giving up runs or 10 or more yards? But this seems to be on paper a team that you really do like, outside of just some minor questions about the ability to generate your own explosives as well. Seems like a group that should have everything in front of them to, I think, make one of those runs. We talked about drawing our hard line in some of these contenders in the SEC. Texas A&M should be among them.
Well, and I'll say I know there was some concern about, on the surface, the offensive line when you lose as many starters as you do to the NFL draft or just to eligibility issues. In the transfer portal, they get Tyree Adams from LSU, Cohen Eccles from LSU, Trevon Baugh from South Carolina, and Wilcom Forby from Alabama. So you are like rebuilding that unit, having depth at it as well with guys with SEC experience and a quarterback who knows how to maneuver it and can do all the things that you need him to do. He was somebody who was in the Heisman conversation for a good chunk of last season, and obviously it fell apart a little bit the back end of the year. But I think that Texas A&M has a lot in front of them, and that's why they're third on the odds board to win the conference.
Yeah, I don't think Marcel Reed would have splashy enough numbers to win a Heisman. Do you? Especially at the price. Like, you're talking 25-1. I can understand the allure of starting quarterback for a top 5 potential team in the country. But, I mean, you look at last year, he totaled 3,000 yards passing. We'll call it 32. It was 3,169. Just under 500 yards rushing and amassed 31 total touchdowns. That's I'm not saying that's not good. What I'm saying is that Heisman level of production that's going to win you, and especially when we're talking about 25-1.
I think if Colin Klein was still his offensive coordinator, then yes, because I think that there would a step that could be taken, but having to reset with Holman Wiggins, and we don't really fully know what we're going to get from that standpoint, I wouldn't put my money there. But 20-1, his odds from that standpoint. I do really like this Texas A&M team, though.
Yeah. I think it's hard not to. And Elko gives you, even then when we're talking about the rush explosive rate defensively, you're nitpicking for a defense that's going to be really good.
I went back this morning and was just looking through, kind of trying to remember like how things played out for them in the playoff last year. I forgot that they had a chance, ball in the end zone, to retie that thing at 10 at the end of the game, and and Marcel Reed gets picked off again. Yep. But I mean, that was a tie game, 3-3 in the fourth quarter. They give up a touchdown under 2 minutes and then lose the game. Like, it's just heartbreak after heartbreak, the loss at Texas and then the way they lose in the playoff.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Do want to remind you guys, though, as we've talked about a lot, you're writing up the SEC in the college football betting guide that is coming out. Our NFL betting guide is out right now as well. And if you are a VSiN Pro subscriber, you get both of those guides as a part of your subscription for free. Our early bird special isn't going to go on for much longer, though. If you would like to join us on a full-time basis, head over to vsin.com/subscribe. Just $175 gets you unlimited access now through the Super Bowl. We got to step aside here on Money Moves. Tom Byrne joining us coming up next. His reaction to LeBron being a Philadelphia 76er. How's that sound?
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Slow news day. I kid, as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. That voice, Jonathan Von Tobel, know you love that. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're live in downtown Circa Resort and Casino. But of course, yes, the news of the day, LeBron James signs a 2-year, $8 million deal to become a Philadelphia 76er. 76ers haven't won an NBA title since 1983. They haven't even made the conference finals since 2001. Will LeBron and some of the other additions, namely Jaylen Brown, turn that around? To help us break down not only this acquisition, but I think we can get into all things Philly sports. Tom Byrne, Philly native, host Mad Dog Sports Radio, going to be on VSiN Live tonight as well. VSiN host 8 Eastern. Tom, welcome into the program on the Progressive Guest Line. How are you feeling today? Is Philly actually happy about something?
You mean to tell me that wasn't our segment? We just did 5-6 minutes on this during the break.
I know.
No, listen, it's crazy here, as you might imagine. I mean, whether you're in the Philadelphia area, suburbs, down the shore, you're blaring the 76ers song right now. Great song, little jingle. I mean, JVT's a curmudgeon. He won't love it, but I highly suggest that when you guys get a chance, you're going to be hearing a lot of it this year. I mean, they have a great chance to compete thanks to the Boston Celtics because, let's be honest, and they're the biggest rival of the Sixers. That's what's wild about it. Wilt Russell, Bird, Doc, Iverson, Pierce to a lesser extent, obviously. You know that they meet more than anybody else in the history of the league. That team of all teams delivered LeBron James because LeBron doesn't go to Philly without Jaylen Brown. It really is wild. Only the NBA could deliver this drama. But to answer your question, yes, Philly is flying today, obviously. Now, people will start to come back down to earth. This is a market that's had many a big star, to be fair. And LeBron, unlike Miami, unlike Cleveland, hasn't built up any equity yet here. So he is going to have to produce. And people are going to start looking at the fit, which could be a little clunky. A lot of guys that are accustomed to high usage rates. But that's tomorrow's problem.
First off, I've been called many things in my life, but the fact that you would dare thrust upon me the accusation that I do not know 10-9-8 76ers is absolutely abhorrent. Also, I showed Stormy the Orlando Magic song a couple of months ago, and she, in fact, was a curmudgeon that did not like the Orlando Magic song. So I think there's one of us.
Well, theirs was boring. Clap your hands, everybody. Has a little bit of a different ring to it.
Don't look up your lyrics. Don't look up the lyrics. All right. So let's talk about this from a basketball standpoint. Just how does this work? You know, I think a lot of people always ask that, Tom, when you get these stars, like, hey, there's only one basketball to go around. But this is a really interesting, unique fit with so many guys that are, you know, on-ball guys.
Yeah.
LeBron James, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. So how is this going to work?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't really know. I know LeBron has said he's okay being the facilitator. He's going to take on a de facto point guard role at times, probably play Maxey off-ball. I mean, you can forget about VJ Edgecombe getting much usage. He's going to have to get offensive rebounds and find his shots within the rhythm of the offense. I can't imagine much is going to be drawn up for him. How does Embiid adapt? How does Jaylen Brown adapt? I mean, here's a guy who said it was the most fun he ever had because, essentially, he was the number one guy for the first time. I mean, there are going to be nights where Jaylen Brown might be fourth in line. So I would say they better get off to a good start. Or, you know, every debate show in America is going to be talking about the Sixers as a flop, what's going on. So to answer your question, I don't know. But Nick Nurse was brought in to make these sort of decisions, and so you keep that in mind. Obviously, the talent's there. Look, this doesn't guarantee anything. In fact, just for the fun of it, I plugged in the Sixers' new lineup and rotation into a model that has the estimated plus-minus predictive numbers, the Darko predictive numbers with the estimated plus-minus, which is Dunstonthrees.com, of course, predicted minutes for each. And it only had them a little better than 3 points above average. Now, take it for what it's worth. Those numbers could obviously change based on the situation they're currently in. But typically, that would put you somewhere between the 5th and 10th best team. So we do have to be realistic about where LeBron James is. He's 68th spread value. If you, again, looked at the projected minutes and the predictive Darko and estimated plus-minus numbers. This is not old-school LeBron. So there's nothing guaranteed Philadelphia, and you just hit on something that's important. Even getting beyond the talent, which might not be quite what some people assume it is, because Brown's never a guy that the individual metrics love either. But even getting beyond that, the fit. I think it's better than the fit would have been in Miami, frankly. But the fit is still tricky.
So that's great intel, Tom, because I wanted to ask you about the movement we've seen from an odds perspective. Prior to the Jaylen Brown trade, Philadelphia was in like the 60 to 80 to 1 range for an NBA title. They get cut down to 18 to 1, 20 to 1 range. Now they're one of 4 teams that sub double digits to win an NBA championship. How do you view them in the framework of the entire league right now? And especially when we get to playoff time, the health factor is always going to play into that.
100%. That's where I was going. Philly's always a tough team to have any faith in because you don't know that Embiid's healthy. Well, you won't convince me otherwise, but he is never, and I mean never healthy. The only offseason I can remember saying, you know what, he's pretty healthy, Joel Embiid, was the bubble. And even then, they'll tell you he had ankles. That's when Simmons didn't play. Back then, that was kind of a big deal. But every single one since, he's got an MCL, he's got an ACL, he's got a broken face twice over. It's always something. And I think Philly's at a point where you can't trust him to remain healthy. And as great as LeBron and Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe sound, I don't think that roster beats the Knicks. I don't think that roster beats Boston. Listen, as a Sixer fan, I'd love to tell you the Celtics are falling off a cliff. I don't buy it. Okay, last year people said the same thing. They got the 1 seed. They didn't have Jaylen Brown for 11 games, so no Brown Tatum. They won 9. They've always been greater than the sum of the parts. So it depends on Embiid. I'll tell you this, at this price, you can't get in. You missed the boat now. I mean, you cannot. And people will. They're fools. And if you have a profit boost, fine. You want to throw $10 on it, that's different. But if you're looking to make a real bet, you can't be looking at Philly at the prices. That is sailed at this point.
Tom, when you run your projections, do you include Kawhi Leonard on the Toronto Raptors? Because I feel like that's also something we're waiting for that to drop as well.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I don't know what's going on with that. Boy, is Adam Silver really, and it's not just Silver, but he and his cohorts butchered this situation. I'm still going to assume he goes to Toronto. It's a great point, JVT. I actually just back on the Clippers because I wasn't sure. But, yes, I'd run it through the Raptors, and their quality considered a top 4 team in the East. I'm not as big a Scotty Barnes guy as some others, so that's a little bit of a question mark. And who knows about Kawhi's health? We just talked about Embiid. Is Kawhi going to be available? We all know the history there. So from that standpoint, that's a great call. And the East overall is a lot better. I mean, this is not the East that LeBron was in for 9 straight years, dominating the league in Cleveland. Toronto's better. Obviously, Boston, we mentioned them. Indiana's healthy. The Knicks are the Knicks. I mean, listen, there are going to be a lot of teams. I'm not saying that Atlanta and Washington will be great, but they're not going to be the pushovers that they once were. The 2 best teams still reside in the West. Oklahoma City 1, San Antonio 2 for my money. But then I'm looking at a lot of teams in the East.
Indulge me in a talk radio comment for a moment, because with LeBron making this decision, I said earlier I was pretty stunned by it just because so much of the conversation around him had been that this is going to be a happiness-led decision. How much of this in your mind is about him cementing legacy and trying to add another title versus anything else?
It must be a lot, right? Because we talked about this prior to the segment. It was all about, finishing the right way, not necessarily only about winning. Want to be happy, family, this. Well, obviously his happiness depends on if he's winning, which is interesting because let's be honest, you don't have to have him in front of Jordan, but he's a presidential suite of all-time great member. He's in the same room with Jordan, Wilt, Russell, Bird, Magic, and Kareem. I mean, bottom line, and it's like La Cosa Nostra. Once you're in, there's no getting out. So it's not like he's going to fall out. But I guess he feels like he could still add to that legacy. Look, if you win in Miami, there's no pressure. If you win, Cleveland, it's the same thing. You don't win, whatever. You already won there for, 51 years. They waited. The point is, Philly, again, he hasn't built up any equity here. So he's inviting the pressure in that way. Philadelphia likes LeBron now. If he doesn't win a chip, I mean, he's just going to be viewed as a rental player, a mercenary. So he's inviting the pressure all because he wants to get that next ring. That's pretty incredible. I heard, speaking of sports radio, I heard Charles Barkley on with Stephen A., and Barkley says, well, if he gets 2 in Philly, which is not going to happen, I'll call him the greatest of all time. So already those conversations are going to start, right? So I think a lot of it needs context. I don't judge individual greatness based on team success, first and foremost. And 2, where is he going to be? Is he going to be 1 in the pecking order, 2, 3, 4? All of this matters.
All right, last 60 seconds. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win the NFC East.
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance of it. But I will be open to the idea that Dallas is a little bit more trustworthy this year just based on the amount of talent. That defense is talented. I've never been a trash stat guy. He's a borderline top 10 guy when he's right with the right pieces around him. He could be top 10. I'll tell you this. I think they're going to be better than the Commanders. I know now, Jaden Daniels, he's coming back from injury. Are we sure? Is he going to stay healthy? What does he have around him exactly? And the Giants, enough with the Giants and the Harbaugh nonsense. I mean, this time last year, they were the betting favorites, and Harbaugh is such a great coach, he couldn't make the playoffs. So I do think Dallas is going to be a thorn in the ass, if you will, of the Eagles. But I still think Philly, which is being slept on a little bit on the football side of things, people down on Hurts, I think they're clearly the team to beat in the NFC East.
Tom, you're the best. Thank you so much for the time tonight. We appreciate you.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
And make sure, everybody, you check him out a little bit later right here. VSiN Live, 8 p.m. Eastern. We got to step aside. More coming up as we wrap up this edition of Money Moves. Why JVT thinks this sharpshooter is where to look for in tonight's three-point contest for the W. Stick around.
It's happening.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here on Money Moves, wrapping up this Friday edition of the program. Going into the weekend, we got the Friday news dump. LeBron James has made his last decision going to the Philadelphia 76ers, who have now dropped to a 9-1 shots to win the NBA title. JVT, should that happen, LeBron James would be the first player in NBA history to win a title with 4 different franchises. He's currently one of 4 players to win one with 3. Danny Green, Robert Horry, and John Sally, the only others.
Yes, indeed. That makes some sense. Absolutely. So, I don't know. Historical context stuff. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Just a statement of fact.
By the way, speaking of Philadelphia, did you know that there are 1,174 miles between Philadelphia and Blaine, Minnesota? Do you happen to know why that is relevant?
I do not.
Blaine, Minnesota happens to be the location of the 3M Open, which I can't help but notice you
we haven't done as many updates.
Have not updated as much. Yesterday, I think, Justin, if we roll back the tape, Stormy updated it every commercial break, and yet today we have yet to mention what is happening out of the 3M Open. Why would that be, Stormy?
Not for anything like, I know you're saying that Scottie Scheffler isn't the leader on the board today. That's not why. We've just had a lot of other stuff that we had to get to today.
Yeah, we had nothing going on yesterday.
I'll also say, it appears I picked the wrong Kim. Has anybody seen what Michael freaking Kim did earlier today? My goodness. Shot a 59. He had 12 birdies.
He did.
Unbelievable.
Where's Scotty?
Where's Tom Kim? He's a T8 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Well, what does that tell me, though?
He's 2 under through 7. He's got a long day
No, what's the tournament score?
8.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He's fine.
Yeah, we got a long way to go. It's only day 2.
Just got to chop your onions a little bit here.
But my boy Tom Kim, he only shot 2 under today, 5 under for the tournament T25. I need him top 10 and top 20. So I don't know why Michael had to steal Tom's day. It's pretty jacked up, if you ask me.
Yes.
Did you end up betting anything? You didn't, did you?
Who are you talking to?
All right, well, grow up.
Yeah, grow up. Unlike you, I have duties on the side here at the Vegas Stats and Information Network that I am very much nose to the grindstone on.
I have no other work I ever have to do.
Let's get to the
WNBA All-Star Weekend, because the game is tomorrow, but the fun starts tonight with the 3... Will you stop talking for a second? No Caitlin Clark in the 3-point...
No Caitlin Clark. She couldn't make it to the orange carpet. Did you see that? She was busy at a foundation. So we have a wonderful field that I think you're really into. AZ Fudd, the Wings, favorite, plus 260. Marina Marbury from the Tempo, plus 280. Janelle Salon, Valkyries, plus 450.
It's Marina Mabry, by the way.
Mabry, what did I say?
Marbury.
Oh, sorry. Rin Howard,
learn the W.
plus 550. Yeah, Bridget
God.
Carlton for the Fire, plus 550. And Natasha Heidman? You didn't look that one up. Storm, plus 900. What do you like? You said you had something here.
Did you say Janelle Salon right?
Probably not. I said Janelle Salon, though. So if that's how you say it, then yes, I said it.
I blacked out everything because I'm just so angry with you right now. However, yes, I do have an angle today. I don't know if you'll agree or disagree, but I was looking at AZ Fudd, not to win, although I think, like, these are the types of contests that all of the plus money angles are worthwhile in my mind. Like, I don't think you're going out on a limb betting somebody who's the biggest difference between plus 260 and plus 550. But yeah, I like AZ Fudd. I know a lot of people are fading her because it's her first All-Star, and we haven't seen a rookie ever win the 3-point contest during All-Star weekend. This is a little bit of a different situation. And I'll say, too, if you go back, while she doesn't have 3-point contest experience in the W, she has participated in a number of 3-point contests in the past. She went to Steph Curry's SC30 Select Camp in San Francisco, was actually one of the first female players ever to play in it. And she won that when she was 15, ended up getting to play Steph, which was kind of cool, in another 3-point contest. She lost 20-16, but still played really well in it. And then she came back again after she tore up her knee like crazy, and the doctors basically said the only way way that you can participate in the three-point contest is if you walk from the ball racks. She did that, and she still won again. So she does have experience doing it, and I think that's important because I know a lot of times when we're talking about the NBA three-point contest or whatever it is, experience matters because of the motion of grabbing the ball and shooting, because it's a very different thing than a catch and shoot during a game, or if you're a pull-up jumper, it's a different type of a role. So the fact that she does have some experience on the season, shooting nearly 46%, 39 from three, I think this sets up pretty nice for her. And all of that to say, while plus 260 is the price for her to win it, I'd be pretty stunned if she didn't at least make the final. Plus 130 to make the final for AZ Fudd. I think if you have a sports book that's available to you to bet, that is a great angle for today.
Don't disagree in any way, shape, or form. Fudd was going to be my choice to win this thing anyway. You hit all of the important points. The familiarity with grabbing the ball out of the rack. I just think from a just pure shooting motion standpoint,
it's so pretty.
Yeah, she's the cleanest one out of I think almost everybody in the NBA at this point right now. She's really good. So I would say yes, given everything you've already brought out. I think Fudd is the rightful favorite, and you can make the argument maybe she should be maybe even a little bit shorter than plus 260. So let's go AZ Fudd.
If you're looking for a case for any of these other ladies, Marina Mabrey for the tempo, she is plus 280, your second shot on the board, leads the W in three-pointers made per game right now, had 9 in a single game twice this year. She's been great. Ryan Howard also plus 550, a little bit farther out. She's second in the W in threes made per game. She is another person that has previous experience in the contest, made the final 4 years ago. I don't really know enough about Natisha Heidemann, but 9-1, she's a long shot. I think there's a couple potential dark horse options if you think they can make it there, but yeah, we're both in on Fudd today where things sit. This season, the W is, so no Caitlin Clark, no Sabrina Ionescu, like some of the big names that you see from the three-point game aren't out there, but this is on pace, as we have talked about throughout the course of the season, to be the highest scoring WNBA season on record that we've seen, and I think there's still a lot of potency with these ladies, so we should have a pretty good show tonight, I hope.
Birdie for Scottie Scheffler, I believe.
Let's go.
9 under now.
Keep climbing.
That's right.
I didn't see any odds for the new Shooting Stars event, but for anybody that is going to be tuning in today.
No, I was just going to say, there's not that much offered in terms of the betting markets for some of these games. Not like the NBA where you're getting odds on everything.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say for this specifically, I think it actually kind of makes sense because this replaces what was the standard skills competition, and it's a little bit different. You have a WNBA legend paired up with an active player, paired up with a high school prospect. Yeah. 70 seconds to shoot from 7 different spots on the floor. There's how many? 4? Yeah, 4 different teams, and they do bracket style to see who's going to win it. I don't know if any of us would know enough about what those people and players would do. Like, for example, you have Elena Deladon with Shakira Austin and a high schooler playing together. How are we supposed to handicap that? I don't know.
You can bet it, though, in some places.
I'm sure somewhere. I haven't seen any odds for it. Meanwhile, tomorrow will be the All-Star Game. Teams were selected by Hall of Famer Cynthia Cooper and Teresa Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon is -4.5, -3.5 point favorites, depending on where you look. Team Cooper, plus 135, total 277.5. It's a high total.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't like All-Star games in general, but maybe I'll watch it. I won't.
Do you have any bets going into the weekend, though?
So I do. I wanted to reiterate some of these because I think we've talked about these at length, and I've given out some of them on some of the hits that I've done. But I wanted to kind of focus in since we're doing some college football a ton. So I have 3 college football futures in pocket that I want to enunciate to the audience. Hawaii to win the Mountain West at 6-1, Alabama to win the SEC at plus 850, and Gunnar Stockton to win the Heisman Trophy at 20-1. Those are 3 college football futures that I have. We've discussed almost every single one of them to an extent over the last couple of weeks with media days getting started, but wanted to reiterate and clarify those are 3 that I've got so far.
I would love you to elaborate a little bit the last 90 seconds on Stockton, though, because he's, a 19-1 shot on the board?
Yeah, you find 20, so shop around. I think you might be able to get 25 if you really hunt. I got 20, but either way, look, I think that if you look at the fourth quarter numbers from him last year, he was really, really good. Completed over 85% of his passes, didn't commit a turnover, scored 9 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, so you got that clutch factor to it. Really kind of carried them when their early down success wasn't there because of an anemic running game, but I think they're going to have more balance. And let's just go simplistic analysis. Starting quarterback for what's going to be a top 5 team in the country that could win its conference. I'll take my shots with a guy like that, and I think he's going to be able to put up the numbers that are going to help them. So I think in all, Georgia's a pretty good team. I know I bet Alabama to win the SEC, but for me, that's a price standpoint. I mean, you brought up the predicted order of finish. They were 6th or picked 6th, Alabama was. that was a price because I think that they were priced a little too high. But I do believe Georgia is the rightful favorite to win this conference, and I think Gunnar Stockton is going to have a lot to do with it.
He finished 7th in the voting a year ago, and that was with kind of the game manager moniker, which is funny because he did have 3,000 yards of offense and 30 total touchdowns.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't hate it, and I think the larger context is where that comes through. I mean, he's got some weapons, dude. They should be really good. Even last year in what was a quote-unquote down year, still 12-2, 7-1 in the SEC, won the SEC championship. On the way out, let's get one more look at our producer, Justin Emery. In his bag today, trust the process. Philly native, could not be more excited for LeBron to be in the fold. LeBron and Jaylen Brown. Can they win an NBA title? Dun, dun, dun.
This is clearly what they meant the whole time, right, Justin? Trust the process.
Yeah, when they were trusting the process. Last 13 years, this is
Eventually,
what it's about.
the butterfly effect would lead to LeBron James signing with Philadelphia for the last 2 years of his career.
This is when we need Justin to have a hot mic. That is a wrap for all of us today, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us all week. We will be back on Monday, same time, same place. Keep it locked right here, though. Paulie Howard holding down the fort for Follow the Money as they get set next. John Jastrzemski alongside. And today's show is stacked. Chris Vanini, writer for The Athletic. Tim Murray also coming as they talk all things college football. And Ryan Kramer has his NFL top angles. Stick around. Have a great day.